Hey folks, Prepper Princess. So don't forget to get your Prepper Princess t-shirt. I'll leave the link in the description. Also, if you are interested in more personalized video about my personal life or what is going on, go ahead and go over to my Patreon page, become a subscriber, and I will go ahead and upload a video every week. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about today, which is really interesting, in my opinion, is that if you've been watching my channel for a while, you may have heard me talk about writing a book. And I've wanted to write 20 books for my entire life. And when I move to Arizona in May, it'll likely be that that's something that I'm going to be spending the first 6 months of my move doing, writing a book. One of the types of books that I want to do is short stories on prepping. So like prepping stories of things that could happen. If you've seen my older videos, you saw me giving it my all, trying to make sort of a visual representation of what could happen after the collapse. Unfortunately, the time and effort that I spent in making those videos and the amount of views that I got for those videos were not really making it worth it. I will go ahead and leave the link at the end of this video, but what I wanted to do is something very simple. And I'm sitting here with my laptop, and I wrote a short story a while ago about what could happen in a collapse. And I thought that it might be kind of different because I've never seen anybody do this on YouTube. And if you guys like this type of thing, or if it gets 25,000 views, I'll go ahead and do this every month because it's something that I love doing, and I think that it is really interesting. So if you want, you can just put me on in the background, and I'm going to go ahead and start reading a story. My voice may change and I may speak a little bit slower than usual, but it's just so that I don't mess up and you guys can understand the entirety of the story. So without further ado, I'm going to read you a short story that I wrote myself. All right. So, we were the typical American family. My wife and I had both been working since we graduated college nearly 10 years ago. We married and had a son only 3 months ago. The China trade war had been going on for a long time with no resolution in sight. Prices began to increase greatly. The food shortages began a year later, with staple foods skyrocketing in price. Milk went from $3 a gallon up to $9 a gallon. 2 weeks later, it was $16 per gallon, but there was no milk on the shelves to buy. What we didn't know was that long ago, with the federal debt, our own personal debt had put us in a bind. We were just like everyone else, living paycheck to paycheck. We both still had student loans, a little credit card debt, and new cars. We rented a 2-bedroom apartment in town. It was somewhat close to work and required no maintenance. We had about 2 months of living expenses saved. Of course, that was 2 months of expenses before everything inflated in price. 4 weeks ago, my wife came home and said she was let go from her job. She'd been there for 8 years, and there was no notice that anything had declined or that she was going to be out of a job. Her pension was gone along with her job as well. 2 weeks after that, I was called into a meeting. I made decent money. $22.50 an hour would keep us out of the poorhouse, or so I thought. In the meeting, the company director advised me that the company was nearly bankrupt. They had leveraged too much debt in the name of growth, but the banks called them in on all of their loans. There was no money, and the business was barely keeping their heads above water. Due to the federal debt, the government was no longer offering unemployment benefits. Social Security and food stamps were cut out completely. Riots broke out in the usual areas: Oakland, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Baltimore. The government put out an announcement indicating that the police were allowed to use deadly force, so the protests dwindled away when the tanks showed up. My job said I could stay, but at the federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, part-time, only 15 hours per week. I pleaded with them and told them I have an infant son at home. I begged and pleaded for them to allow me to continue to work full-time so I could still receive medical insurance. My pleas fell on deaf ears. I was now making only $145 per week. After taxes, only about $100 per week. As soon as I got home, the cable and subscriptions were cut, along with both of our cell phones. The central heat and air was turned off due to lack of payment. I knew it was only a matter of time before the electricity would be cut off completely due to the lack of payment. I was terrified and didn't know what to do, but I was lucky to have any job. Our pantry at home was barely a pantry at all. We had about a week or two of food and maybe 2 weeks of baby formula left. When my wife asked for money to get some diapers, I told her we couldn't afford them. So we went through our closets and cut up some old t-shirts to make non-disposable diapers for the baby. We added extra water to the baby formula to make it last longer, and my wife and I traded days of eating. She would eat one day, and I would eat the other. Once the food was nearly gone, we went to the food bank. They were no longer providing free food, but had transitioned into soup lines to make the food stretch. My wife and I would fill up, and once in a while, there would be a little extra. The soup kitchen didn't have anything to give us to carry extra food, so we put it in the baby's bottle to take home and eat later. After only a month, the soup line stopped, and we were on our own. After the month had ended, our electricity was completely turned off. Thank goodness we had a wood-burning fireplace, but I was always too busy working and never collected any wood. We just used the heater to heat the house, just like everyone else. So with an empty belly, I would wake up before the sun and head out to the walking trails and fill my backpack with as much wood as I could carry to heat our house. What I wouldn't do for a rocket stove just to boil some water right now. Going home is a bit of a chore. My wife cries a lot, and there's no longer any electricity to watch TV, surf the internet, or do anything for that matter. We walk around by candlelight after dark and try to read as much as we can until the dim lights hurt our eyes. We then wander to bed and fall asleep, barely speaking a word to one another. I'm supposed to be the provider, and I'm doing the best I can, but it's nearly impossible to provide right now. Bathing has practically become a thing of the past. Heating water in the sun all day, then hoping we have a little extra wood so we can heat up a gallon of water each night, then splash ourselves with warm water to keep clean. We still have some bar soap, but the shampoo and conditioner ran out long ago. We don't have the funds to replenish our stock, and shampoo and conditioner is practically non-existent at the store these days. The baby baths are still pretty easy. Thank God they haven't shut off the water due to the lack of payment yet. The payment I received from my job pays for what little food we can get. The prices of everything have skyrocketed. Baby formula for the month takes up $300 of the $400 I take home now. My wife and I have only $100 to spend each month for the both of us, and we have not purchased anything else. I walk to work 4 miles in each direction every day since both of our cars were repossessed. We're eating a lot of potatoes that used to be $5 per bag, but now they are $20 per bag. I traded my television for vegetable seeds and 3 chickens, and my wife started a garden on the balcony. Since we live in an apartment, the chickens are kept in the bathroom. If this fails, we will have almost nothing to eat but potatoes. I get past due notices constantly for my student loan and credit cards, but I have no way to pay them. I'm running out of ideas, and they are not offering any extensions. 2 months have now passed. My wife and I have not been able to find any more work than my measly 15 hours a week. Seems that everyone is in the same position. There are no jobs and nobody is buying anything. There's an eviction notice on my front door and we have 72 hours to get out. I've packed up all our camping supplies and a wagon we got for the baby when he was first born. It's filled with camping gear and we are now looking for a place to pitch our tent. A sort of shanty town has popped up near a creek. There's dozens of people here and some of them are not very good people, but we have nowhere else to go. It is the only place in town with any running water. Another month has passed and my job let me go. There's just no work left. My son died of pneumonia, which he must have caught from the filthy conditions in the shanty town. Since we don't have any medical insurance, the doctors would not see him without payment up front. They wanted $900, and even after begging in the emergency room and assaulting a nurse to get their attention, I was taken away by the police, and my son was not provided any medical assistance. I've not seen my wife in 4 days since it happened. The woods have been picked clean and there's no firewood left. My sleeping bag was stolen while I was in jail after trying to save my son's life. I feel cold, but I see a light. I'll go towards it and see if they can help. The end. So it's a pretty deep story. And it's something that could happen, but these are the types of short stories that I write. And there's a million different stories that I could write, similar or not similar to these, that would still have the same type of effect, showing how people are not prepared and what could really happen. So if you guys are interested in me doing more of these types of videos, please be sure to share this video with your friends. I'm hoping that the video gets 25,000 views. And if it does, I'll continue to do these every month. So make sure that you share it, watch it twice, you know, put it on a playlist. I'm not really sure. But I think that in order for it to be something successful, it needs at least 20 to 25,000 views. So if you guys like the story, let me know. If you cried, let me know. Do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out.
Get it, mister!